Well, it's been about a year and a half, I think, or almost a year and a half, maybe a year and 3 months since the truck's been up on the lift and out of storage and trying to get some work done on it. So there's a lot to do, but I got myself organized to have some storage space now, and all the parts are laid out. I'm trying to figure out what to do for exhaust and the gas tank. That's the original pieces off the Mustang. This one got damaged pretty bad in the accident that the Mustang had that in. I bought it used at the salvage. I mean, that could be fixed. It's not too bad. Some headers I bought thinking they would work out pretty good, and they don't work at all with the steering shaft for some reason. The steering shaft worked when I mocked it up with these long tube headers, so that was going to work pretty good to make clearance everything, clearance the firewall, okay. And then when I put the shorty headers on, it was tighter here, and then the shaft would only go about here. The tube was in the way. So I bolted this header back on. I took all the insulation wrap off, and I would use them, except they hang down so far. Like, there's no reason for them to hang down below the frame like that. There's so much room up underneath there. So I'm gonna try to maybe shorten. I mean, this is gonna get cut apart anyway to fix that. So I'm just thinking, what if I just take this collector and cut it off, and then reform this a little bit, and put it, or make it a mid header, a mid-length header, and then that will give me room to sweep it this way and come up higher. But it's going to be tight. So, plus I don't, these are PVKs, and, they're supposed to be good, but then look at, they're awful. The mating flange has got drips of coating on it and blemishes all over it, so you'd have to be refaced anyway. Pay a lot of money for them too. This is the stock exhaust, or not stock, but modified exhaust off the Mustang, but what a cob job. I mean, the welds and the angles and the pipes were just fit poorly. But I might just cut it up so I can use it to lay out a new system. And these are 3-inch pipes, which is fine because that's good, because you got the catalytic converters here. I'm going to keep those, keep the O2 sensors, but then it necks down to 2.5 back here anyway. And they've got a, what is it, MagnaFlow? MagnaFlow muffler here. And then they've got Borla mufflers out the back. And these got beat up. Yeah, that one's all bent up. So I really don't want to use that anyway, but again, I can use it to mock everything up. And I want to figure out what to do about a gas tank. Obviously this isn't going to work, but I can reuse the sending units. I got weld-in rings for to fabricate a gas tank. So these, take the factory ring and just twist lock right onto that. So you weld this onto your tank and then you're ready to go. I got the power window units from Vintage Glass. They're sending me all new glass. So I got some parts ordered. The power booster, not thrilled about that at all. So I kind of put the drive shaft, just hung it because I need to get a longer one, obviously. but I strapped this between the body, so that's like the lower level of the body. So I think, you know, even if a gas tank came down to here, it's kind of above the level of the body, so you won't really see it. You know, it's not hanging down. But that still doesn't give me a lot of room. I was thinking, you know, put like a saddle tank along here. You know, this I don't want. This should be up here. So if I modify this header, it can come, the exhaust can come up through here, and then it can easily go across, and then I can have dual exhaust go back here, and then two mufflers. I'm thinking two mufflers here, and then they can go up and above between the frame and the floor, and they can go snake right back through here, and then they're going to go out, and there's going to be an exhaust outlet right there. That's the idea. So the tricky part's the gas tank, because the Mustang gas tank has got two, it's got a fuel pump and then a sending unit for the level. So package it, and plus they're not straight up and down, they're at an angle. I'm just trying to keep everything factory. So if I need a fuel pump, if I need a sending unit, if I need a wire connector, everything can be had from the, you know, dealer or a regular parts store. Plus, if the gas tank is on this side of the truck, either on the, you know, inside the frame rail, I could either use the original gas filler or put a hidden one like on the top of the rail here. That would work pretty cool. So the goal is to try to get the frame and like the fuel and exhaust systems kind of laid out and mocked up, because I don't want to finish the frame and then have to cut and recut and rebuild and do different things to make everything fit later. So that's where we're at. Actually, gonna start working on this again. So back to trying to figure out how to make the steering work with the headers. So I originally had everything marked up and it worked really perfectly with these headers, but I don't want to use them because the passenger side was all banged up, the rusty and nasty looking, but the steering shaft cleared going through here. So I thought, well, I'll get new headers. So I got these BBK shorties, and the other issue with the long tubes is they hung way down even below the transmission. So I didn't like that. No need for that. So I got some shorty headers so that you can make the pipes go anywhere you want. But of course these BBKs stick way out and they're in the way of the steering shaft. So pretty much that's just not going to work. So I can't really use those at all. I picked up a set of stock Coyote headers, which I don't mind using, you know, to clean them up a little bit. They're all stainless, I believe, except maybe the flanges. Well, it turns out these are Gen 4 Coyote, so which is really weird because now it's hard to see, but basically these two interior header bolts are opposite on Gen 4 versus the Gen 3 and 1 and 2. So these actually, the two end ports are correct and match the original generations. So I can bolt this on with just these two end ports, and I test fit it, and it clears perfectly. So these would work, but it has the wrong flanges. And okay, what if I got stock Gen 1, 2, or 3 Coyote headers? I could try that, but I'm pretty sure that the catalytic converters are built into the stock Mustang driver side, and that's not a big deal. You could cut it all apart, but again, I'm taking a chance that they're going to fit and everything's going to work. So I'm almost thinking, what if I just cut these off and get standard Coyote flanges, early Coyote flanges, and just weld them onto these headers? I mean, they're not coated or anything, they're just plain stainless. So that way these headers will fit, and then I don't have a clearance problem anymore. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I tried mocking up the exhaust. I cut up these. I was going to try to reuse these long tubes and make them into short tubes. I cut up all the header. I cut off the flange, the collectors. But, it's just, if they're crappy, it's just going to be a lot of work for what? It's not worth it. So I can get flanges pretty inexpensive, stainless steel too. They're not too expensive, like $50 a piece or something. So I don't mind doing that. It's going to be a lot of work cutting these out without destroying them, and then weld the new ones on. But these were cheap. They went to the Factory 5 open house, and they had a kind of a scratch and dent sale, and I got these for like $25. So I picked them up because how can you go wrong with that? Well, it turns out they're Gen 4. So all right, well, keep going. Cutting the flanges off turned out to be a pretty big deal. Ford makes their stock headers pretty well built, but I got them all cut on this side. This one I got off all the way. Right, but this everywhere it's welded on the inside, boy. It's on there. I even cut, sliced it in half, and still not really budging. So I'll just grind that down, I guess. This has got like a flange or something on it for some reason. Haven't started on this one, but I'll get the correct flanges are coming, stainless steel, and I'll be able to weld those on, and that'll take care of the header issue. There was a X-pipe, MagnaFlow X-pipe on the car, but it got all, I kind of cut it the best I could because there were some elbows tight, so I decided to get a new one. And I don't know if I just didn't realize that there was a 3x2 available, because I'm coming in with 3-inch and then leaving with 2.5. And of course this one's 2.5 by 2.5, and I can't remember whether I just didn't know that you could get them with 3 by 2.5, or I just assumed that's what I would use when I ordered it. So I'm just going to get a 3x2 or 3 by 2.5, and that'll make my reduction part of that X-pipe muffler. And then I got new mufflers coming for the back. I got tubing and elbows coming, 2.5-inch, 3-inch. so I can start fabbing that up. I got the pieces cut for the gas tank, so I'm going to try to, I don't know, jury rig a way to bend it using this. I'm thinking if I heat up that plate, we can roll it, make some kind of clamp thing to hold it on there, and then I can roll that and make a 90 elbow. If I can do elbows all the way around the perimeter of the tank, then I don't need to make as many welds. I just need to weld on a face, you know, two sides around the perimeter, and I don't have 90-degree corners or something on the bottoms and top. So that's the idea. No idea if it's going to work. So that's the plan for the gas tank. It's about 4 foot long. This is 12 inches wide, but it's way too tight. So I'm going to make it, maybe I should make it 10 inches wide. And there's room up here for the exhaust to come through here and then turn over, turn down under the transmission output, and then come along this frame rail, join up with that one, and then they'll come across, go down here, go up and over the axle, and then the mufflers will be back there. So I think what I'm going to do is make, I guess I really need to make this 10 inches wide. 11 would be nice, but because you lose, you know, quite a bit of fuel every inch that it's narrowed out. But I think it'll work. Picked up the front and rear glass for the truck. Looks pretty nice. Trick now is to not break it between now and when I actually put it in, and then not break it when you put it in. But it's here, safe. Everything looks good. No cracks. No blemishes. So that's good. Didn't get the side glass, but he said that was coming by UPS, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, now we're kind of committed. That's the first attempt at making the gas tank. I ended up, this is cut off piece that didn't work. I was trying to use this contraption, you know, tack weld it on there, and then heat up the rosebud, you know, in front, all along here, and then with that tacked in there, you can maybe bend this around and curve it, and it works, but it's, you know, a little uncontrollable. I overheated it on this side. I got a tighter radius than the first one I did. Actually, that came out okay, but you don't have a lot of control. The height is completely wrong, and you know, they're trying to calculate the roll and how much material you're going to use. I guess I should try to be more, you know, experienced with that, but I guess, I don't know, I messed up. So it's only like 9 inches tall, and it needs to be like 11. So I kind of fell back to some of my sheet metal cheating days, where I just notch it with the cutoff wheel at the dimension I need, and then bend it, and then I can weld the inside. I just didn't want to have a weld exposed, especially where you're visible on the bottom. And so this one is halfway through. I notched it, bent it up. It's not quite 90, because once it gets bound up in here, you need to cut a little bit more. So now I can swing it up to 90, and then now that it's accessible on the inside, I can run a weld on the inside of both corners. And basically I'm going to make a frame perimeter, you know, in that shape, of the cardboard cut out, and then once I have the outside cut and tacked together, I can put it down and then trace out the face on the other sheet I have, and then cut that out, and then I can weld just around this perimeter. So yeah, there's going to be welding obviously, and I was trying to use the curves to eliminate some of the welds and maybe make it a little nicer looking. But if I had it from aluminum, you'd have square edges anyway. So I'm thinking this might still be way too heavy. It's thick material, which I wanted because I have it and I had already purchased it. But I think it's going to be too heavy. You fill that with 17 or 18 gallons of gas. I don't know. So I might fall back and just get a price from Boyd Welding to, send them a sketch and see what they can do, what it would be to make one, and reevaluate. But I got the material, I have the time, and I'll see what I can do with this. I got the tank fabricated and just tacked up in place temporarily. I wanted to see how everything is going to line up. I cut the hole for the fuel pump unit and just not even tacked, that's just set in place, but I cut the hole on the plasma cutter. That worked out really well. And I just wanted to check, looks like the pump is sitting perfect. I mean, it's a little bit off the bottom, which you want, and then it sits vertically, perfectly straight and everything. This is going to be, I'm going to have to modify this a little bit, the sending unit, because that doesn't really get full travel, and it also is going to be outside the tank. Well, hit the side of the tank. It's pretty heavy. I haven't weighed it, but it's probably good 50 to 70 pounds. So I'm just not sure what to do with inside. That's why I don't want to completely weld everything up. Should I sand it to bare metal? Should I sandblast it? Is there a coating I should put in it? Should I just leave it bare metal? I mean, I'm thinking I should sandblast it, or at least sand it and get all the mill scale off. I mean, I did kind of go over it a little bit inside and clean it up and get any surface rust off. But, there's some over there. So I'm assuming it would have to be sealed anyway. But I don't know, I just wanted to see how it would come out. Still not sure if I'm going to use it, but I had the metal, so I'll see what happens. So I got the gas tank mocked up and just kind of strapped up in place about how it's going to actually, I didn't even put the side on yet. I wanted to make sure that the fuel pump was going to sit properly, and I got clearance all around. So, I mean, it's close to the drive shaft, but I'm thinking, this is my thought, I'm going to run a piece of 2x4 tubing across, and it's going to tuck up in that space and connect to the frame over there. That'll give me a drop down point for some exhaust hangers, and then I can drop a strap piece down here and pick up a mounting point on the gas tank. And then I think what I'm going to do here is just put tabs on the tank, on this vertical piece. I'll have a tab and a bolt, a tab and a bolt, and then over here a tab and a bolt, and then maybe back here I'll come back from here over and a tab, because I can't put anything across here, because this is where the exhaust is going to come across and go up and over the cross member and then all the way out the back. So that works. This thing is a lot bigger than I had gotten one that was 2.5 by 2.5, and turns out I really wanted a 3 by 2.5, 3 in, 2.5 out, but it ended up being a lot bigger. But if it keeps it quiet, that's okay. And then I'm just I got some gas, I got exhaust pipes So 3-inch, and if I go down underneath and then turn and go up to that one, this thing can go almost straight into that from here. So that works. And you know, everything is above the line of the frame, which is what I really was trying to do. Maybe not this, obviously, this will be, but it shouldn't be lower than the cross member, so I'm okay with that. But the gas tank will be above the frame and the muffler and everything. And then I still haven't figured out what I want to do here, because I need to have some kind of drive shaft loop system around the pipes, around the drive shaft, because if that ever broke loose, it's gonna just make a mess, and I can't have it banging into the exhaust, the gas tank. So this end's a little trickier. Plus, I need to be able to mount it, so I need something dropping down from someplace. I was thinking of running a cross member across here, because again, this really isn't a good cross member. It's just bolted to the transmission mount, and these aren't the strongest things in the world, so it's not really for frame strength. So I was going to run something across here, but now the pipes are in the way, the drive shaft's in the way, so it'd be kind of Swiss cheese, but it would pick up the weight of the gas tank here. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, it's tight, but it makes everything work way better. Now I can run the fill can come in right here, the vent can come out there, and then they're just going to snake over, and then the fill's going to go up a little bit over. It's going to go like through this rust hole here, maybe a little further over here, and then it can go straight up to the stake pocket on top, and the gas filler could be there. I can put the vapor canister set up here. Vent line comes out of there, goes in the vapor canister. The other thing is brake lines, fuel lines. That's just going to have to go on the outside of the frame rail. There's just no good way of routing it. I mean, I'd have to go all the way on the other side of the truck for the gas. And you got 2 brake lines going to the back because of the ABS. So I was just thinking, you know, there's all this real estate that's wide open, just run it all the way down here. Yeah, I mean, people are just like, well, you run it on the outside of the frame, that's not safe, we get an accident, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you get an accident, you're kind of screwed anyway. So I'm not super, I mean, I want to make it safe, but on the other hand, you can only do so much when you're making these custom things. But I think that'll work. So I just gotta get some, I'm waiting on some parts. I've been ordering tons and tons of parts. So spent lots and lots of money the last week getting a whole exhaust, all exhaust parts over there, and a bunch of stuff in storage that I just got, and I'm waiting on more stuff. So moving along. Here's an update on parts inventory. I've gotten quite a few pieces. I got the header flanges, X muffler, catalytic converters, brake and fuel lines. I got a tubing reamer tool, 3-inch and 2.5-inch exhaust pipe kits, header flanges, the 3-inch flanges for the convert to the pipe. I got my V-band clamps, slip clamps that I'm going to use as a connector that I can cut out the center, some slots, and you can use to weld the pipes together, clamps it together so it keeps it nice and straight. Lower control arms should be here today. I got adjustable suspension links for the rear suspension. No idea when they're coming. The BMR is usually pretty good about that stuff, or not BMR, Beefcake Racing. But there's no update on the parts for that. Drive shaft is amazing. Ordered it Thursday, and they shipped it the same day. It'll be here Monday. Line clamps will be here today. hanger grommets, so for the exhaust hangers, they'll be here Tuesday. I bought some stainless pieces to make the hangers. I got some thicker stuff to make hangers, and I'm going to make an exhaust tip, so I got some thinner stainless for that. Okay, let's see. Drive shaft loop, no idea. It was supposed to try to deliver on like Thursday and never showed up, and Amazon just says, yeah, couldn't deliver it, so I don't know what's going on with that. O2 bungs I got, fuel tank bungs and fittings will be here today. Side glass, I got the front rear glass, came out beautiful, smoked, just for my truck. One piece side glass, they came in a separate package, and they're wrong. They don't even come close to fitting the doors. And then the mufflers, I ordered Magnaflows, and yeah, no idea. No shipping, no idea when they're coming. So that's an update on parts. I got a pretty good stock of, there's the 3.5, and then there's 2.5, and then there's some couple extra pieces of 2.5. And this is a hitch receiver. I'm going to put that on this cross member, and it's going to kind of hang like this. And that way there, if I do want to haul a small trailer or something, I'll make a hitch piece that goes up inside it and then come out like this, so it's not, I don't have a hitch receiver hanging down. Bunch of clamps here, I got V-band clamps here. I got the headers, the flanges, so I got those tacked up to hold them in place. Those are the stock Ford Coyote headers for 2024 and up, Gen 4. And of course they changed the flanges from the last 3 versions of Coyote, so I got a set of Cook's header flanges, and I cut the old flanges off and I tacked them in place. That was a process. So these are all set to go. I got a vertical bandsaw from Harbor Freight, and I've got a tool that you use to clamp your pipes in place. So I can use that to cut better angles and more accurate. I've got the exhaust center X-pipe muffler. You probably can't see, but if you look down in there, there's like a built-in X-pipe inside the muffler, I guess. So, but it's pretty big. Got, I think, enough clearance for the drive shaft. It's pretty tight here, but I welded some, scrap pieces. I welded here, so this is nice and solid. And then I can get lined up for the new pipe setup. You can see I put some temporary scrap pieces to hold everything, and then I put a vertical piece here, and that way there I can get my angles, and it's all set at the elevations that it needs to be and doesn't move around too much. I got couple pieces up there. Not very tight. But that's good enough for now. And then this side I gotta do the same thing. It's gotta kind of angle a little bit so it has enough clearance. But I got the gas tank mocked up. It's pretty close, but the body's gonna sit up a little bit. There'll be some bushings on the frame, so I actually have a little more room there. And I think I showed this before, but up here I'll have all the fittings for the vent and the fill, and I might even throw a fitting in for a return line, and I'm going to put in a drain probably back here somewhere, because that's always good to have. And so that's it for now. Got some parts coming, and I have some parts to keep working. Got the exhaust pipes run from the muffler and bent up. to go across the cross member above there, and I'll be able to turn these because I have the adjustable clamps here. It's a little tight here, so I'm probably going to turn this up, maybe, and then turn it over. Just have to make sure you have room for that. And then I'll come across above that cross member. Problem is I don't have the mufflers that go in the back yet. I'm still waiting, so I can't line anything up. But I got all the 3-inch done yesterday. Obviously just all tacked up, but I think it came out pretty good. This cross member piece came out nice. Almost looked like I planned it that way, but it just happened to work out, so it's pretty centered. Got catalytic converters in. Still waiting on these flanges. Don't know when they're coming, but I put some temporary ones on. I can just swap them out. I'm thinking I'm going to put a flex joint in here and over there, just to keep any rattles down and so nothing gets fatigued, maybe keep anything from breaking. So it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So I was away for 5 days at the SEMA show. So while I was away, I did get some parts. Drive shaft loop I was waiting for it finally came in. And here's some fittings for the gas tank, fill, and then the vent. And I'm going to put a spare in there for a return if I ever need one in the future. And then I got one for a drain. And of course, when you buy them, they come in packs of 2, so I got some extra pieces. I got the brakes out from storage, so I can start looking at where the brake line's got to go. I got to find a place to mount that sway bar. There's the front rotors. Now these are on the PP1 Mustang package, so it has the 14-inch Brembo brakes. These are the standard discs. I just threw them on there, but you can see that there's way more room for the bigger brakes. So I want to know, where I got to mount my brake lines so I can get those run. I've got the ABS unit, so I got to find a place to mount that. I got some coils of stainless for the fuel line, brake lines. I just mounted these just for see where the hoses have to go. And while I was away, the drive shaft came in. It's a nice looking unit. I don't know why there's a seam here. I mean, I don't understand why they had to sandwich 2 pieces together. I'm assuming they know what they're doing. It's from Shaft Masters in Michigan, and I saw a lot of positive feedback from those guys, so hopefully it doesn't have any vibration, because it's going to be a long time before it gets in there and driving. And I got this jig for cutting tubing. Of course, most of it's done already, but I still have some 2.5 inch, and I'm not super impressed. I mean, the whole idea is to have a precise angles on your tubing to be cut, and you slide this plate along with your tubing in there, but it's got a degree, 1.3 degrees of slop in it. So I mean, the whole point was so I had perfect cuts. Well, I can cut it by eye that good, so I'm not sure how this is helpful. What it needs is like just a small piece of metal here to slide up against so it won't cock out of position. So I already sent the company a little bit of a disappointing message. I'm like, hey, I paid about $300 for this unit, and it's no better than me doing it by eye, so what's the point? Nothing new over here, just some leftover, I got some 2.5 inch pieces that I got to use to make up the exhaust. Oh, I did get the control arms. Yeah, that was something I did right before I left last week. So I got the tubular lower control arms, which look really nice. And it cleans it up a lot from the cast aluminum pieces that were factory. And you do have to use this extra link on here because the factory link doesn't work. But those are, I mean, I really just got it for aesthetics, but then on the other hand, I thought about it, I'm like, well, being that I made all these mounting points, you know, from scratch, the more adjustability the better. So I can fully adjust these lower arms in and out, and then I got adjustable arms for the top, the toe link, and the camber link. Those two pieces I have adjustable for those, so I'll put those on, and everything will be fully adjustable that way. So I got the switches for the windows, and of course side windows were the wrong size, and now I have to send them a template to remake them correctly, so it's kind of a drag. I got these exhaust hangers, grommets, because I didn't want to use the blue ones that everybody used, and I found these black ones, and they're real heavy duty and real nice. They do take a thicker metal though, so than what I was going to use, so I'll have to see how that works. But that's it for now. Just need to do a lot of work. Got the new drive shaft, and I just put a couple bolts in it. It's probably going to come out a dozen times, but no, it came out really nice, and looks pretty good. Crossover a piece I made. Almost looks like I planned it that way. Pretty happy with that. I do have the expansion joints. They'll be here tomorrow, so I'll cut those in. And so right now I'm trying to figure out a drive shaft loop. So I might put it in here, and then it can go and tie into that cross member I put in. But I think it needs to go forward more so it lines up with over here, because if it's back here, it's just in the way of the clamps on the muffler. But that's just got a couple tacks in there. I can bang that off and move that forward, and then I can drop down a strap. I don't know about these. I mean, in theory it works, but by the time you put a couple bolts on there, there's no room for the drive shaft. So I don't know if that's going to work. You know, in theory it was a good idea. Nothing else. I've got some pieces of metal to use to maybe bend my own or redo them or something. So I'll have to look at that a little bit closer. Oh, I got a drive shaft loop fabbed up yesterday. Pretty happy with how that came out. I welded some extra bracing on there. It's going to be real sturdy. There's plenty of room for the exhaust. And then it's going to protect the gas tank if there's something ever catastrophic happened. So I'm going to make one for the front. So I kind of temporarily made this piece because it's going to need a little bit of a hoop to it. But this way here I can measure, you know, the air, you know, the size of the hoop and get that fabricated. And then, because I got to get a piece of like 1x3, I think I'll use. It doesn't need to be super strong. It's not structural. It's just for the mount the exhaust. I can have another hanger here and come down and grab these two, and then I'll also have a hanger here to come down and grab the tail pieces of the muffler that come out. So the muffler will be supported on both ends, and then the exhaust can go from there. So pretty happy with that. Making pretty good progress on the exhaust. Got it up pretty far back. Mufflers are mounted. Everything's just mocked up with tack welds. So I'm going to cut a couple holes in this cross member, and then the pipes will go straight through that. And then I already cut away this piece that was hanging down, the sheet metal, so I can aim it, you know, kind of here and here, right where those mark is. There's no mark here. And then I was going to make a tip, or I'm not sure what to do, but I just want to get the pipes back here, get them through the frame, get them all mocked up, hangers. So in the center, it's not really a cross member, it's just a something to hang the mufflers from and the drive shaft loop from. So this is just a mock-up of where it's got to go. But I got some 1x3 tubing I'm going to cut. I made these on the plasma cutter, and I'll use those to make a hoop, so go over and above the drive shaft. So I use this quite a bit, making the bends and cutting the elbows. This is a jig that Centrale sells. It's not cheap, but you can put an elbow piece in there and then you can turn it at preset angles or make your own angle as you needed, and then get a pretty decent cut. I think the only shortcoming is the Harbor Freight, you know, bandsaw. I can't seem to get the blade perfectly straight and square with the lower plate here, because there's a roller, and then as you can see, the actual blade goes around like this, so it has to make a little bit of a turn so it can be accessible to cut things. And by doing that, there's a roller down there, there's a roller up here, and it's, you know, it's not perfect, but it gets you pretty close in the ballpark. Cut out the holes for the exhaust pipes to go through the cross member. I've got some 3-inch pipe that I'll cut and weld in there, strengthen it up again, and then the pipes can go through. But yeah, I made it quick work with the plasma cutter. Way better than trying to do that with a hole saw. So we'll see how the pieces of pipe fit, but you know, if I can make any adjustments, no big deal. And just weld them in. fabbing up the center cross member that goes over the drive shaft, and that'll be a hanger for the exhaust. And then I can also bolt this drive shaft loop onto that, so that'll work out real nice. So I'll try to finish that up. Got the cross member fabbed up. That takes care of the drive shaft loop and hangs the muffler in the front. So that's pretty good. I don't know, this is, I mean, it should be alright as far as not hitting anything, but I probably could use a little more room there. I mean, it's stationary, but you know, that does move when the motor torques a little bit. This one I probably could have made a little shorter. Doesn't need to be that deep. Probably could have brought it up. I still can cut it and re-weld it. I might do that. But the exhaust is mounted in the front and the back of this muffler. And I got the pipes run up here. But I'm going to put a hanger here, I think. And then the pipes run out from the back. I got a piece of pipe I'm going to use to open, you know, to seal that up, but still have a gap so I can move around. And then I can take these apart here and fish them out if I ever had to take them out. And then probably, I definitely want two hangers here to grab a hold of these pipes and keep them centered. I can take this down now. Don't really need that, but I still have blocking because I'm going to probably put a hanger here and up. You know, 'cause it is, I can barely get my finger up in there, so it's pretty tight. But yeah, it's coming along pretty good. And I cut this open like I showed before. And then I got the pipes extended out, but you know, they're going to be cut back, and I gotta figure out some kind of tip that I want to go in there. So yeah, coming along.